Yeah, you don't need to know that.
All right. So if you're watching Facebook, you're going to see us here. This is the behind-the-scenes version of the YaJagoff Podcast this week. You're going to see people going in and out, but make sure when you watch this or you watch a little bit of it, go download the episode next Monday, Tuesday from radiodotcom because the music will be in there and all that kind of fancy stuff. So we are at Mastic Trail, which you have to Google on. It's in Shaler. When you go, oh, it's Shaler, whatever, right?
Who does that?
No, because Pittsburghers, they always make, they don't come from Kennedy Township, they don't cross two bridges. But the cool thing is that
when you get... I grew up in Robinson, and I crossed two bridges to...
You're right, this way, right. And so, listen, don't fall into that trap because you are going to walk into the Caribbean when you get out here on Saxonburg Boulevard. So we're going to start the podcast recording. We start it with an ad, and then you'll get to see all of our guests. All right, here we go.
John, you did that all in time for me to do a post for Team Pittsburgh.
Nice. Good job.
Yeah.
All right, ready? Yins better watch out because Santa Claus is coming downtown thanks to Rorick Automotive. Santa is thankful to Honda and Mazda and Toyota as well. Plus Cadillac and Lexus will help.
Ring in the holiday cheer at the YaJagoff Yuletide happening next Saturday at Johnny Angel's Ginchy Stuff parking lot. Expect a mini marketplace, an iconic selfie station, all Pittsburgh style, including Santa. Kids, do not forget to bring your lists so that Santa can check them twice and get them to the North Pole just in time for Christmas. Visit radiodotcom for all of your vehicle needs.
And now we start the YaJagoff Podcast from Mastic Trail, which is kind of just puts you right into the Caribbean.
It's the mood.
So this is the YaJagoff Podcast, and again, listen to it every week. Make sure you download it if you're listening for the first time. Listen to it, subscribe to it on radiodotcom or wherever. If you're on Apple iTunes, please leave us a message and say like you liked it or whatever. Don't say you don't like it. Just call us and text us.
And so this is the part where we usually talk about what was on our blog. So definitely check out our blog because it's lots of fun, and we call out pain-in-the-butt drivers, as John says, Peter Parkers, that kind of thing. But we're not talking about that this time. This time we're talking about the fact that you can now hear us at 4:55 still with the Daily Dose of Happiness on 100.7 Star with Kelly and with Elista every Friday to tell you who was the biggest Jag-off. Boom. It was John this week, just FYI.
Yeah, right. So. And also we want to let you know that this Saturday you need to go to our YaJagoff /Yuletide and get your tickets because we're doing YaJagoff Yuletide selfie stations, Kennywood trolley, 6-foot wide Isley's ham sandwich, and
the biggest Mancini's bread tree that you will ever see, right? And then there's a mini marketplace. I even remembered to write them all down. You will be able to shop Sinbin Creations, Mary Mac Bakehouse, North Country Brewing, which has a huge YaJagoff twist to it, which we'll kind of tease it, right? Western Edge Seafood Outlet, Sprezzatura, Yin's Lids, and Pittsburgh Smokehouse. Boom.
All of it going to be at 1800 Preble Avenue. We're going to be there from 1 until 9. Bring the family. It will be socially distanced. There'll be things that you have to wear a mask.
You have to buy your tickets by the hour. That doesn't mean we're kicking you out, but we want to make sure that we have the people monitored on how many people are there.
It's all sponsored by Duquesne Light and the Rorick Automotive. We appreciate everybody doing that.
We're so excited.
So get your tickets because the ticket money, 100% of it goes to the Pittsburgh City Firefighters Project Warm, where they buy winter coats for the needy folks around town. All right.
Boom. We did that pretty quick.
I know, right. So
who are we talking to today? We have a full house.
I feel like we should have a Caribbean accent, but then one of our guests already has one, so she would probably be offended if I tried it. So let's talk to the folks from Mastic Trail because when we came out here to drop off the Fathom Pub Sauce, I walked around through here and I'm like, this is an amazing place. Like, who thought of this kind of thing?
He snuck in through the side door.
Right. And I found myself walking on a very glossy river. And I'm like, wait a minute, should I not be? I was tiptoeing like this and nobody was around.
It was slippy.
It was. So welcome. So thanks for welcoming us.
Ben.
Yes, welcome
Ben.
to Mastic Trail.
And introduce us, whoever else we have here with you.
So I'm Ben Williams, and I'm the owner at Mastic Trail Brewing. And I have with me today Ryan Dodge, who's our Director of Hospitality Operations, and Executive Chef Justin Lewis.
So that's awesome. Look at you guys. Yeah. So wait a minute. So Ben, the funny thing is that we were talking about this. You're like, hey, I'm from Robinson Township. So let's take us that short story. What gets you to opening up a Caribbean restaurant in Shaler Township when you're from Robinson Township, and what did you do all before this?
Gosh, that's longer. It's a longer story than we have for the podcast.
All right.
So the short of it is, I grew up in Robinson. I've been out of the Pittsburgh area for about 30 years. I was in corporate roles and a CFO for a number of different companies, and then I hit 50, and I was just like, well, you know, do I want to do this the rest of my life, or do I want to do something that I've been kind of toying with that I thought would be fun to do? And I said, you know, let's give this a try. So that was a year and a half ago. We bought the building here in January, and then COVID hit. So it's been pretty challenging opening up a brew pub in the midst of a pandemic. But, you know, we're still plodding along and making progress every week, and having a lot of great musicians in here Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. And it's just a really relaxing place for people to come and check out from the gray Pittsburgh days that we have so many of around here. So, yeah.
So obviously we're going to get pictures, but you have these giant, I mean, they're microbrew hub. What are they called that are over there?
Yeah, those are fermenters.
Fermenters.
So we have, I'm not going to go through the whole beer process, but there's a hot side and a cold side of brewing. And so the hot side, we have kettles, and those are the three on the right, and then there's three fermenters on the left, which are where you actually have yeast that's turning sugar water or pre-beer into beer.
Okay.
And I read in one of the articles that were done before you opened that you were one of those people who said, I love the Caribbean, however anybody wants to say it, but I'm not always a fan of the microbrew scene in Pittsburgh. Is that right? So you sort of had this mission
I love the microbrew scene here in Pittsburgh, but what I wanted to do is I want to bring I have a few passions.
Okay.
Besides the Caribbean and beer, I love playing volleyball. I was
fun fact coming. What is it?
No, so I went to Montour, and you know, we always had North Allegheny and then Derry area as our big rivals back in the late 80s. And so I was part of the Montour team in 87 that beat North Allegheny for whippeals. And then we took a group of guys from around the Pittsburgh area, went out to the Junior Olympics and played 2 years out in JOs.
How about that?
And there was a lot of California teams there that were like, oh, this Pittsburgh team, you know, they're going to suck. And we were seeded like 41st out of 42 teams, and we came in 5th. We kicked their asses. It was a lot of fun.
I love it.
I'm not allowed to say that. If I can find a way to bring volleyball into this, I will. We've talked about maybe putting a sand court out back, but that's maybe next year.
So you basically go into the kitchen with these guys, and you're like, spike, right? Is that what you do?
No, I can't believe you didn't put this restaurant in North Allegheny's backyard somewhere along the way. Just to
that would have been funny. So I've taken my other two passions, which are craft beer and the Caribbean, and I've tried to put them together to make make a space where people can come and.
But I think it's important to say, so you bought the Moose Lodge. So it's not this little hole in the wall. You bought a big space. So your passion was kind of like, if I'm going to go in, I'm going to go in all the way. Right?
I lucked out. When we found this building, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is a perfect building. It needed a lot of TLC, but it had really good bones to turn into the brew pub that it now is.
Okay.
Yeah. So you brought these guys in
because
this was like your whole tie-in, right? It wasn't just this little place.
So my first employee was Ryan Dodge, sitting next to me, and I'll let Ryan give some of his background. But like whenever the pandemic hit in March, it was Ryan and I that were. Our asses were up in the attic, pulling wires for speakers and Ethernet while we didn't have any ability to get any kind of contractors in the building because nobody was working. So anyway, so I'll pass it over.
So Ryan, you have the swankiest title out of everybody here.
You really do.
So like to me, that's what a bouncer should be called. But you're here to make sure a bouncer isn't needy. You're here to make sure everybody's having a great time. And does that include catering? What all does that include as far as your time?
I mean, I guess. I'm directly responsible for the overall operation of the business.
Okay.
So, I chose the title. I could have said I'm the general manager.
Okay.
I could have said that. Mm-hmm. But in my experience, the term manager has a dictatorial connotation to it. I see myself as a leader of the team, not their dictator. Mm-hmm. So I thought hard and long about it, and I said I'm going to be the director of operations. That makes it sound more like I'm, directing people and delegating rather than pointing and demanding results or something along those lines. So that's why I chose the title.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, functionally, I'm the general manager.
Okay.
And so what was your role essentially? Once Ben kind of said, this is what I see it becoming, how did it change, or how did you kind of add your part?
So I guess the best way to kind of tell the story is a friend of mine called me. He was actually the real estate agent that brokered the deal on the sale of the building.
Okay.
And he was really kind of vague when he called me. He said, I just sold the Moose Lodge to a guy who's going to turn it into a brew pub. And I wasn't picking up the hint, and I was like, well, good for you. Like,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, he doesn't know the first thing about running a restaurant. You should call him. Like, this could be a good opportunity for you. And we met a couple times, and I kind of voiced my opinion right away on certain things that I think kind of sparked a little bit of confidence that I knew what I was doing. And he made me an offer, and I joined the team in February, right before the shutdown.
Yeah, right.
And
good timing.
Yeah, and we collaborated really well right from the beginning on, this was his dream, but it's one thing to have a dream, and it's another to be able to see the path to how to make it come true.
Let alone in one of the most difficult industries around, right?
Already a very difficult industry.
Yeah.
It's really challenging to look at those different things and say, okay, well, if we want to accomplish this, how are we going to go about making that happen?
Sure.
I just want to point out one of the important things about sort of my dream or my vision for this place is that not everyone's a craft beer fan. So if you're significant another may not be into craft beer, or if you're going out with a group of friends and half of them are not really into craft beer, this is a place where I don't care if you drink our craft beer, you drink any beer. We have tropical mixed drinks, we have non-alcoholic beers, we have gluten-free beers, we have whatever the guests would like to drink. We now added wine to the mix. So for us, it's really just about letting guests come in and feeling like they're going away for a few hours to an all-inclusive resort somewhere in the Caribbean where they can just check out and have a great time.
And it is, the word I was looking for earlier was submersive. You come in here and you're submersive. So Justin, right? I have the name right, because I always get the names wrong.
You do.
So, all right. So the fact is that you're now in charge of this Caribbean. What kind of research do you do, or have you worked this type of food before and kind of with like the number one candidate, like a rookie out of Caribbean State or something like that?
No.
That was good.
I'll tell you that I certainly wasn't hired because of my extensive knowledge of Caribbean cuisine. I think I was hired because I'm the type of chef who feels really strongly about food in general, was willing to kind of respect the soul of Caribbean food in general, and just was looking for a challenge, really.
I love that. Wow.
And we know, because we're friends with Olga George, that it really is this cultural thing. Like, everybody who has that niche in what type of cuisine they're making knows that it dates back, or grandma's recipe, or so-and-so did it this way. How did you learn that type of, because it's definitely a niche kind of thing. We keep talking about, we had Hal B. Klein on the podcast about a year ago, and he said the one thing Pittsburgh is missing is that Caribbean feel. And luckily, there are a few more now. But what is that? Talk about what that is like, because it's not an Italian thing. It's not a... It's a definite different niche. What is that like for you?
Yeah, well, it's definitely a different niche, and I think one of the cool things about it is like how many influences there are to like the umbrella term of Caribbean food. There's English influences, there's the Hispanic Caribbean, there's Dutch influences. So
sure.
I mean, it really gives us here a lot of opportunities to pull from like different culinary traditions. And I'm not trying to outcook anyone's grandma, or I would never,
right.
I would never, try to change anybody's mind about, who makes the best rice and peas or who makes the best mofongo or anything like that. But it's just, me and my crew in the kitchen, like trying to get good ingredients and trying to like refine our techniques to make dishes that are, that we feel like expresses the soul of the food.
So what's the core of
Caribbean.
Caribbean food at this point that you've found? Is it veggies? Is it meat? Is it a little bit? Is it sauce? Is it spice? I mean, I think spices. What's sort of the stereotypical core?
I mean, the stereotypical Caribbean food would be jerk cooking, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, that goes back to slave times and offcuts of meat that have to be cooked and barbecued for really long periods of time. That being said, like when I mentioned before, like how diverse the cuisine is, I mean, it really is. Like if you think about Puerto Rico and Cuba and what you think of as the Hispanic Caribbean, that obviously has a lot of ties and feels really similar to Mexican food, whereas a lot of the other cuisine maybe has stronger ties to Portugal or Spain or even England or Holland.
You are way more educated than I ever would ever be on food. I just like beer and food. That's it. Yeah. And by the way, from now on, this is the YaJagoff Podcast. In Pittsburgh, we call it a jerk, a Jagoff, so it'll be called YaJagoff Chicken from now on, right?
There you go.
All right. Well, thank you guys for having us here. We have a whole host of guests to get through today on the podcast. Olga George, and we have a virtual reality investor coming here, and we have music. So, anyways, question of the day.
And Spark Wine.
Yes.
Just saying, we're adding some Spark too. Question of the day. Before we ask you guys, where does everybody follow you on Facebook, Instagram, all those good social media channels, as well as online?
Let's see who knows it. Hit the buzzer.
Yeah, we're on Facebook at Mastic Trail Brewing. Our website is mastictrail.com. We're on Instagram as well. So those are the three main places to find us on social media. Yep.
Cool.
Right.
All right.
Come check out Ben's dream.
You can each answer this question. This is the coveted thread for the entire podcast. What is the appetizer that would replace a meal? If you're looking at a menu anywhere, it doesn't have to be here. What is the appetizer that's your go-to that you're saying, I'm going to have this instead of a meal?
I mean, I think that our we have a preparation of shrimp in a curry dip with nachos that it's listed as a small plate, but it can be a meal unto itself, I think.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, I guess for me, if I'm going out to eat, I could pretty much eat my weight in chicken wings. So,
okay, that's a good one. That's my.
I mean,
are you one of my
sons?
I don't know. Okay. All right, Justin,
This
you're up.
is going to be a good one.
Nachos.
Oh, that's a good one.
yeah.
That's good. John,
Yeah.
when I texted him earlier that this was the question of the day, I said, what's mine? And he said cheese. And it's true. I could eat my weight in cheese and not even worry about eating
And for me,
else.
it was the Atria's pot roast nachos.
Ooh, yeah.
So.
That is a good one.
All right, guys, thank you very
for
much. We
having
appreciate it.
us.
Thank you.
Coming up, we're
Thank
going to
you.
talk to Brad Factor, who, again, is bringing virtual reality to construction. Cool.
Perfect. Awesome.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Brad. Good to see you. He's over there. I think he's getting it.
Yep.
Brad, he's getting him.
You can sit right there, Brad. Hold on one second. We'll give you a wipe if you want to wipe the microphone off there.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep. So we're recording this, and it'll be on Facebook Live in about 10 minutes after we're done, just so we have in case we have any pauses or whatever. This is the raw version of it. Then the podcast comes out on Monday, Tuesdays. You probably heard.
Gotcha.
Cool. All right.
Quite the story. We're excited to chat with you.
Oh, excited to be here.
Might be the liveliest band we've had around
Yeah.
at this point. So, anyway, the kudos to Tracy for finding our next guest. She scans through the Pittsburgh Business Times and found Brad. And I love this stuff, all this virtual reality stuff. I've been a part of it as far as EMS training and things like that. So let's get into this. So, Brad, tell us who you are, the name of your company, and when we're going to start virtual reality podcasting or something. Are we out of
How
job?
are you training us virtually to be podcasters?
I like that. Well, I'm Brad Factor, founder and CEO of Ecto VR. We build the next generation of wearable robotics to make these fully immersive experiences. Now, you already stole a little bit of my thunder, but I like that. That's good. That's good. Because I was going to say you probably have heard of VR with gaming.
Yes.
But you hit on exactly what's really important in the industry right now, which is training.
Okay.
Right. So.
Well, I mean, how much you're clever. I don't even know what to say because we talk constantly about COVID has forced us all to reinvent ourselves. Is
Yeah,
that the
absolutely.
case that you were sort of into the whole VR world and then said, wait a second, there's a need for training? Is that sort of how it connected?
So that's definitely part of it. We
Okay.
were already in the VR space solving the movement problem, right?
Okay.
So you got your 10 by 10 foot room. How do I make something that looks like this brewing company, right? How do I make something that looks like an industrial facility? How do I make a game? And we were already solving that problem. COVID comes around, we were focused on entertainment, right? How do we go from entertainment to gaming? And you're right, we had to reinvent ourselves because entertainment market was ramping down, but this is a really great opportunity.
Sure.
Because industrial customers still need to keep doing safety training. They still need to do equipment training. They still have refineries they need to service, offshore oil rigs, and you have to have even tighter, more educated crews to do this because you're so limited with the staff that you can move around now.
Sure.
So that's what we're trying to solve is how do you teach somebody as if they were on an offshore oil rig
Right.
or at a refinery and experience that before they even set foot at that facility.
So
brilliant.
what made you identify that hole in the market as being
Like why that industry?
an organization or an industry that hasn't had that training yet? What just some
Yeah.
research, or just you had a family member or experience in that industry?
So definitely research, contacts and networks, listening to experts in the field talk, and to be a little bit more clear, they actually had identified the need for training and they were starting to adopt VR.
Okay.
But it was a
Okay.
slower adoption. It was, this might add value, let's see how this goes. As soon as you start limiting how much you can move people around, now it's we need to be able to train people in this way.
Yeah, right.
So this was happening before COVID, just to be clear.
Correct.
It just happens to be.
It just
the fact-
accelerated.
Yeah, sure.
Please refer to the term pivot at some point during this interview.
We're fluid. Say the word fluid, pivot, reinvent.
Pivots, no, right. Yeah, and so for someone who doesn't yet understand, I think most people think of virtual reality as the gaming.
Right.
But as we talk to Ben about when you come in here, it's kind of submersive as far as into the Caribbean. You see the river on the floor, but talk about that submersive part of VR that's different than just watching a game on TV.
Right. No, it's absolutely a completely different experience,
Yeah.
right? You're an observer when you're watching a game on TV, right? You're seeing the plays, you're seeing whatever, but you're just sitting back on your couch not participating in it. With VR, you are there. You look around and you see whatever environment. If it is a game, you're sitting front row center watching the Steelers play. If it's more entertainment game, less so on the sports side, right? Then you're, in the future, you're in the past, whatever game environment you put up, but you're acting in it. You're not just watching it,
Sure.
right? And that's really where that immersion comes in, is you feel like you're there. The real bummer for that is the first thing you want to do is you want to walk. Because you go, oh, this is fascinating. I want to go and I want to explore. And you do that, and you walk into your wall, or you walk into a couch.
I've done it. Yeah, I've done it.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? So we've seen this bummer moment of people like, oh, wow, this is so incredible. I feel like I'm there. It's a sunny day. It's so exciting. And then they bump into something and go, oh, right, I'm still just in my apartment.
Right.
So are the glasses and the gloves and everything all part of this? And the glasses have gotten far smaller than...
Right. So, yeah, we work with the glasses, right? You're going to have the same sort of headset that's on that gives you that virtual environment that you're looking around, and we add these boots that go on over your shoes. So you don't get that moment of, I tried to walk and I bumped into something. We take care of that for you, that you are able to stay in a relatively small space, right now 10 by 10 feet. You start walking, it acts like a treadmill, but it's matching your speed.
Wow. That's so clever.
Now, one of your notes in here is that this is such an interesting thing. Like, this is a lot of money to develop, but the fact is, the statistics on improving safety, improving outcomes, is it too early for that yet, or do we already know? Like, we know how many hours of down hours, man hours, woman hours, whatever it is.
It's still early. We don't have all of the numbers. That's really what a lot of these organizations are doing, is quantifying what is the ROI for that. How much better trained, how much time are we saving, how many accidents are we potentially avoiding, right? It's very difficult to say that we avoided it, right? But you could show that there's more competence. You can do better assessments of people's understanding. So in really small scale studies where they've done this, they've shown tremendous improvements. And one of the biggest interesting things is the engagement, right? So I want you to compare it to you're sitting in a classroom and you're watching a PowerPoint slide and they're telling you, do this, don't do that. It's completely different than you've got this headset on and you're walking around in the plant actually doing that or not doing that. And they've shown like 90% engagement, right? It's putting you there and it's preventing you from doing all of the other distractions of the day. You're not sitting there on your phone, on your laptop. You're in the environment.
And what was the research like figuring out how you create the scenarios? What was that like for you?
So for us, we actually don't ourselves build most of the scenarios. We don't build any of them. We work with partners who are developing them. So they already have the experience making this kind of content. They've worked with these customers to develop those scenarios. So for us, it's more identifying which of these scenarios need motion. Right? Is it something that you can do sitting at a table? Is it something you can do standing and walking around a little bit? Like if you're doing a small valve assembly, a small pump assembly, that's fine. VR is fantastic for that. We don't need to be involved in that. But that's not what most of these are, right? They're facility level things. I need you to go from valve 32 to valve 75, and you need to check the pump is running at this RPM, and it's hundreds of thousands of square feet, not 100 square feet.
Right. Wow.
I love this. Now, is this part of the whole CMU? Are you part of the whole CMU Takes Over the World?
Yes.
Because as far as Pittsburgh, we always have to be first at something or number one at it. So where does Pittsburgh rank as far as being a virtual reality technology center, hub?
Interesting. Yeah, I was going to say, getting to your CMU Takes Over the World, that's what brought me to Pittsburgh. Was CMU.
Right.
And I've stayed here for the startup ecosystem. Now, as far as being a VR center, there's definitely a number of companies in the ecosystem that we have. I would say it's developing, right? A lot of it you'll see around the clustering of where games were developed. So you'll see some in Austin, you'll see some in California, you'll see a little bit in New York, certainly Canada. And really for us, it's how are we building out the software, the hardware, the solution providers, and connecting to the customers. And having robotics here gives us a huge advantage to building out that hub.
And then how are companies responding to a training program sort of being done outside of what they're used to? So a lot of companies have, trainers, training programs that they've already put together. What has that looked like from an industry perspective?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely requires buy-in, right? And there's education of understanding, what about this can we improve? And it's not so much that it replaces everything. It's more so of it works for very specific things that they couldn't do. So where there's actually been excitement and that uptake has been because they say, oh, I've really wanted to do this thing for so long. Our curriculum only let us do this.
Right.
Now we actually can.
Got
this
it.
is great.
Wow. And equipment-wise, are you at the whim of whoever's making the next set of glasses or gloves, or are you guys involved in that technology building as well?
So we're not directly involved in that. We do have connections with some of those developers, but working our best to work across that. We've started with one ecosystem, but we are technically capable of working across those ecosystems. So it's more so of whoever wins on that side, we're making sure that we're able to work with that system.
Well, you guys keep trying to take over the world, but you're never going to do it if you don't fix my glasses steaming up here with this mask, right? That's the basic thing, right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, well, this is awesome. We need to do some kind of tailgate with you and all that kind of, because we want to come try it.
I actually had to warn him. He could talk to you for an hour, and I said, listen, we will carry on the conversation somewhere else because we need the gist of it, but we could talk to you. I mean, it's so interesting. It could go
I love
on
it.
and on. So
I love it.
Where does everybody find you so that they can learn more about this? Internet, social media, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so ectovr.com. We've got a website. We've got a YouTube channel that has our product reveal showing our Ecto 1 robotic boots.
Okay.
And then you can find us on LinkedIn as well.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, are you ready for the coveted question of the day?
Hey,
Absolutely.
how many bridges did you cross to get here, by the way?
I think I managed to only cross 3.
He's a champ.
We didn't cross any.
Right, exactly. All right.
Were you proud that I knew that?
Yeah.
I had to think about which ones were water and which ones weren't water.
Yeah, good point. Well, we appreciate you doing it.
So we're here, obviously, Mastic Trail. How cool is this, right?
It's absolutely cool.
Because we're dealing with some kind of food and beverage, we have to ask the question, if you were given the opportunity to skip dinner and you could replace it with an appetizer, what is your go-to app that would replace your meal?
Ooh, wow. Fried zucchini with ranch.
Good one. You didn't guess that. That was my top 3.
That's a good one. That might have to be on my list.
I thought it would be on your list, too.
Yeah, that's a good. It depends on where it is, but yeah,
True.
that's a damn good one. Yeah.
And I think it's got to be the coins, not the.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm okay as long as it's thin. Whatever it's
Yep,
thin,
yep.
thin. Yeah, nice. Oh,
Love it.
Brad, this is awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Please tell us, come back, email Tracy and say, I want to be back on the podcast. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're not getting rid of us that quickly.
Yeah. All right. Coming up, we're going to talk about homemade wine.
Spark. That was awesome. Thank you
That
so
was,
much.
That was fantastic. Thank you. I appreciate you doing this.
Pulled in because
Jump
I
in,
have a
sister.
story for next week.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
You know what? Or Tracy could email this to you.
Oh, Tracy.
Yeah, we'll just tell Tracy to do an email introduction. How's that?
Olga works with KDKA TV and also does OG cooking. She's from the Caribbean, so we thought it was the perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, so it'd be good if she could get you on the John Delano show or something like that.
That'd be great.
Yeah, cool. Well, if you're hanging out, cool, but if not, it's a pleasure to meet you. But let's stay in touch for sure, because we want to come try this thing.
Yeah,
I'd
love to have it.
I know, I do too. I feel like I'm not as smart.
Yeah, I love it. All right, cool.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you want a beer, feel free. We'll buy you a beer.
Well, hang on. This is fantastic.
Okay, all
Colin's
right.
going to get a video of you and then feel free whenever you need.
Come on in, guys. Okay. All right, yeah, just that chair, and well, since you guys can sit next together, you don't have to socially distance.
Oh yeah, that's good.
We get that.
Yeah, and I don't care if you guys aren't masked. Like, you're welcome to. I'm getting over a cold, so I'm keeping mine on. So however you want to do it.
And if you want, I can change out the yellow thing to this one if you want. It's totally up to you.
Good?
So we're not Facebook Live, but we're recording it. So as soon as we get done, we're going to put it up on Facebook because for some reason there was an audio thing. So cool.
So do we need
All right.
to hold the mic and talk into it?
And hold it like this, kind of close.
Okay.
Yep, that's good. Good level. Want to count to 10 too?
1, 2, 3,
Good.
4,
You guys
5.
are professionals at this. All right, cool. Now, where did you guys come from? Just where's home?
Gibsonia.
Oh, you walked here.
Yeah, right close by. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Ready? Do it.
Do you want to put your mask
So once again, Tracy saves the day with like, hey guys, how about these people as guests? And we're like, that's fine, Trace, because we had a feeling they might bring us a present. No, I'm just kidding. But they did. They brought us a really cool present.
They
We're so
searched us
excited.
on LinkedIn and said,
Yeah.
oh, they drink wine, beer. Yeah.
No, the coolest part is, Pittsburgh, 6 degrees of separation. My in-laws live in Gibsonia, as you know, and they were talking about this Spark Wine place that my father-in-law had visited before the last holiday. And I'm trying to think of what that could have been, but he raved about it. And then Tracy has this great idea, and here they are.
How about that? So you're
6
celebrities
degrees.
in the Rennebeck
Rennebeck
household.
house. Yeah. So you're a husband-wife duo who just love wine, right?
That's correct.
So,
My passion for wine is much longer than his. But
okay.
Look, she
But
said, I'm doing him better.
you found like the ultimate thing in common, and now you're doing it out of your home. Is that right?
Yep, in our basement of all
In
places.
your basement. So how does that even come to be? Because this is like everyone's dream. So what happened that like you had a conversation one day like, let's do it? Literally?
Well, it's, anything with my husband, it's never just a hobby. So what started as, we have a friend that makes wine. How cool is that? He had done brewing before, and He never actually gave me any of his beer, but
It may happen at some point. We could still do it, maybe.
Yeah, she's not going anywhere.
he had some of the equipment for winemaking, and it just like spirals. First you have 6 gallons, and then you have 30 gallons, and then you're buying more equipment, and somehow it just like the paperwork got filed, and we're now a winery. So it's
interesting because a lot of home winemaking is traditional. Like, we know of Italians. They've come over, and then it becomes a hobby. Sometimes it's the ladies. Sometimes it's the guys that use it as an excuse to get away from the ladies, and they smoke cigars and they make wine, whatever. And I love this. There's so many stories about that. You guys, this is your thing now. And go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's I have a sort of a habit of starting businesses from passions or hobbies, and I've done a number of things over the years. And it was funny when I met my wife. She said, "I'm not an entrepreneur. I'm not comfortable doing that." And I think as we've started this, we got her comfortable with being in a business, and now I don't hear that anymore because she is an entrepreneur and we're doing it. And I think we like to do things together, and I think that the wine was sort of an obvious leap for us. We enjoyed the home wine making, and I think as Lindsay said, I had a lot of the beer brewing equipment. So when we were starting out just as home winemakers, there wasn't a lot of investment in equipment, so we were able to get started pretty easily. And I think maybe we were a little surprised at first that what we were making was really very enjoyable. And we started to say, think, how do we get more serious about this? And I'm a guy who's a big believer in education, so we found a course through Penn State Extension and spent a year in their commercial winemaking program. And that, honestly, that accelerated us into a whole nother world of making wine, because you don't go through 10 years of family learning and mistakes to get that drinkable product, right? So we were able to do that very rapidly, and we made a really great connection with a lot of folks in the industry. And so here we are. And it was interesting. We talked about what's going to be our go-to-market when we do this, and our intention was to try to put some volume behind this. We both have industrial manufacturing backgrounds, and so how we put some volume into this and ramp the business and go a little broader. So we intend, as maybe when COVID goes away, to put wine into kegs and go on draft. So when you guys called and said, "Hey, we're going to be at a local brewery," I'm like, this is great, because if you have nitrogen, you can push wine, and there you are. So eventually I think we'll look to do that. But we had to pivot our business model a little bit, because we had product coming due. It wasn't going into kegs because we had nobody at the restaurant level to buy it, and things weren't open. And so we bottled and labeled, and we started distributing mainly online. So we do deliveries within a 10-mile radius of Gibsonia or a little
So
further.
literally you two?
That's us two. That's it.
Throw it in the car. And
His mom helps from time to time with some deliveries, or she's helped us capsule and label our wines. But
Yeah, it's an adventure. The 14-hour day, right? So the last time we bottled, I said to my mom, I was like, "Hey, could you be here at, I think, 10 o'clock?" And she said, "Sure." And so it was 11:30, and she finally showed up. And I just looked at Lindsay and said, "Well, we're going to finish today at 4 o'clock in the morning, and that's okay." And then you go on the adventure, and it's a great time.
Isn't
what my
it the
boys
truth?
would say to
Because
me.
we talked the same thing. Because when we started YaJagoff Media, around all of this stuff, we sit there and I drive to we work out of Rachel's house, and her husband works, and we have with the kids and all that kind of stuff, and we sit there and say, it's 8:30 at night, it's 9:30 at night, it's 12:30. It sucks, but you know what? It's not so sucky, because when I go to her house in the morning and I see all these miserable people sitting on Route 65 trying to go to downtown to work, I'm not miserable. You know what I mean? We're doing it for
you're doing
us.
what
Now,
you love.
obviously, we all have to scale up and work smarter and put the organizational chart together and things like that. But I love the fact it's you, right? It's yours, and you don't care.
Yeah, no, it's fun. We do this in addition to our day jobs, and it's a good hobby. Keeps us busy, so you don't watch a lot of TV then. And, you prioritize.
So don't ask you any "This Is Us" trivia questions.
No, I would be in big trouble.
I'm like a couple seasons behind. So
you're not missing anything. So how many years has this been in place?
we just got licensed this year, so officially we launched this year, but we've been making wine for years now.
Okay.
So now, what did you do as far as tasting? Was it like you hide it and send it out to your friends and see if they like it, and don't tell them you made it, or did you make what you liked and how did you do?
Oh no, you have to be aggressive here. This is a combat sport, so you're going to try it and you're going to buy it, right? That's how it goes. So we called everybody that we knew and said, hey, you remember all of those things that we helped you out with over the years? I need you to buy some wine and try it, and I need you to tell your friends. And so we did, and honestly, the best thing that has helped us is Facebook. I mean, the particularly around Gibsonian, Pine, and Wexford, and Cranberry and North Hills, people have been awesome. So I think they saw us trying to struggle to launch a business in the midst of COVID and figuring this out, and people took a chance on us. And we've sold a lot of wine that way. And the nice part is, I think, the reorder shows you they liked it. The first order is the courtesy, and we were getting reorders. We're already in the third and fourth cycle with some people, which has been really awesome. And that's how you know it's working.
But is it traditional? Like, I'm looking at what you brought us. So it's Chardonnay, Diamond, and
Catawba.
What's Catawba?
It's a native grape here in like Lake Erie region.
Okay.
So actually it's really great in this region, but it's not really anything that you would see in California or anything like that. It's really prone to this area.
Okay.
So it's a unique kind of grape that's a little bit acidic. You balance it with some sweetness. So it's really like if you've gone up to Lake Erie, that area northeast, there's a lot more of that type of style of wine. It's on the sweeter side, but it's our best-selling wine as well. So
and that's what I was going to ask. Did people sort of, as you were surveying friends, were they giving you their opinions, and that sort of helped you to kind of start an outline and then go from there? Or do you still take requests, or do you have specifics?
Yeah, so I'll take this one because our number one requested wine is a dry red.
Okay.
And I would love to make a dry red. It's just there is a time component and there's a material component in Pennsylvania. So you can make a great red wine in Pennsylvania. I just can't deliver that out of the gate in the first year or couple of years. So that's why when people say, I'm like, I would love to have one too, but try one of these, because the nice part about particularly the Catawba and the Diamond is they ferment quickly and you can get them to bottle relatively quickly. So if you run a fining on them and you finish them up more quickly, you'll filter and so forth and back sweeten. You can get them to bottle quickly. Okay. And then they're because they're back sweetened, you're generally going to drink them quickly as well. So you'll notice with our bottles, we didn't do a big punt on the bottom because our expectation is you're going to buy it, you're going to put it in the refrigerator, and you're going to drink it. And you're going to have it with dinner because it's fun and easy fun.
Straw in?
Yeah, that's right. That's absolutely right.
Call it a day.
Yeah.
Call it a day, sister.
And so when we were looking at what do people drink in Pennsylvania, we focused on what we thought were the better selling Pennsylvania varietals, and that's where we went. And I think we guessed right on the Catawba and the Diamond. And the Chardonnay is interesting. It sells. It's just a little bit more expensive because the grape cost, the material cost is a little bit higher for us. And so to get somebody to take a chance on a $16.99 bottle of wine is a little bit different than a $12.99 bottle. And so people will make the leap. And it's interesting, folks from Pennsylvania drink Pennsylvania wine, which is awesome. And so they know it. And if they've tried it, or you can get them to try it, they're surprised. Wow, this is Pennsylvania. And it's there's a really great agriculture industry that surrounds this business, and it's very family driven. And you made a lot of great people.
Go ahead.
What about the label?
Oh, geez. This is one of Joe's unrealized what is it? Unrealized business ideas.
Okay.
We have a big English Mastiff. She's just turned 9, and we had these dog toys that would show up from in the box, whatever that is, bark box, and she would just tear through those toys all the time. And he's like, I'm gonna make my own dog toy, and so he made this dragon. So we have a prototype dragon dog toy.
I love it. That's
and you carried it through to this.
What do you do with this?
So she's being a little kind. I call it my shelf of failure.
It's not the only idea he has.
So I iterate through ideas quickly, and I have there are several things on that shelf that never made it past prototype. And the dog toy, when you come down to brass tacks and you have to order a container full of these things, do I really need 17,000
But
dog
now's
toys?
the time. Now that we have a winery, I thought we could just pin the arms around, the wings around the top of the bottle. It'd be a little bottle topper.
There you go.
Yeah.
So coming soon.
So it was really funny. So we're sitting in my office at home trying to come up with a brand. We had settled on Spark Wine. Because there's some. I'll have her tell you the sappy love story, connection story. But we had settled on the brand name, and there was the domain obviously was available, and we liked the. We liked the name, and we said, what's the logo going to be? And we're sitting there drawing on some paper and trying. I'm frustrated, and she's looking at my shelf and said, what if we just made it that dragon? And I said, what do you mean? And she said, the logo. And I said, okay. So we snapped a photo, marked up on some paper a little bit, and I sent it to my friends. And this is after about 100 iterations. This is where we landed, and I think it's worked pretty well. So it's flexible, and You can see the orb changes color based upon the wine type.
right.
And
Yes,
so we're
And
good.
it's totally catchy on a shelf. It's totally catchy if you see it on a shelf somewhere. Yeah.
Why Spark? What's the sappy
Oh,
story?
well, Joe and I have known each other for 8 or so years. We've only been married for 3, but when we met early on, we were working together, colleagues, and I had a blouse with one of those buttons up that I had to pin it because the sleeve just kept falling down. And Joe's like, "Can I help you with that? You're really struggling in our relationship."
cute.
And so,
So cute. I love it.
Oh my God.
Listen, you're another pair we could talk to you for another
Right,
hour.
right.
But
Do you
here-
ever want to write your chemistry teachers from high school an I'm sorry letter? For
I actually didn't take chemistry, so
I'd like to write some of them an apology for just the torment that I put them through.
yeah, right,
but,
for not
yeah.
paying attention. Right. All right, our question of the day. First of all-
holiday,
oh,
holiday gifts, right? Their holidays are coming up. Where does everybody find you so that they can get their gifts with you?
So everything is on sparkwinecompany.com. You can order online, and we'll schedule delivery with you. Or if you're outside of the radius, we ship to 40 states. So if you've got friends you want to send gifts to, we can do that.
Awesome.
Nice.
All right, question of the day. You're out eating. You get to skip dinner, and you're going to have an appetizer instead. What's your appetizer that replaces your dinner?
Oh,
Go-to
my
app that you're like,
goodness.
I'll have this instead of dinner.
Well, this is very easy for me.
Okay.
You go first.
Well, you know my answer.
Oh, nachos.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. That-
That's
yeah.
the second nacho we got. Okay.
Oh, I don't know for me.
How about a cheese plate?
So cheese and cracker, like a charcuterie board. Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
Yeah.
For me, that's
See, I'd
very
be a
it.
good teammate on any game show. Just so you know.
You know me well. No.
Jill and Lindsay, you guys are awesome. And,
You
and
knew a way
again,
to my heart, so I got you.
as we told everybody else, as you go through iterations with your business, we do the Toyota tailgate, come back on the podcast, get a hold of Tracy, and we'd love to have you back on the podcast for sure.
Yeah, thanks for having us,
Thank you
guys.
so
This
much
is
for
fun.
having us.
We appreciate it. Our final guest is coming up, the Olga George. She's really an OG.
That was perfect, guys. Thank you
Yeah,
so
that
much.
was really awesome.
Yeah, Colin's going to get a video of you guys, and then we'll definitely be in touch because I will be in the Gibsonia area, so I'd love to order some, for sure.
Honestly, what do you think? We have
I will.
We have a slush mix too that we
saw that.
We push a little less in the winter because it's cold, but yeah, it's fun.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
A wine
tailgate
slush.
that.
You can just mix it with anyone actually.
Oh,
You
okay.
blend it with ice and it's great.
All right. All right.
Yeah, thanks for having
We
us.
like
guys.
that. Thank you. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, thanks.
And they're supposed to bring out the wings like any time.
Okay.
I'm just gonna tell them to bring it out. During
Well,
this
they're
last
bringing out wings if you want to stay and eat wings.
Olga's coming over.
All right.
'Cause I don't know if they're starting. We're not going to be able to hear her.
Yeah, we get that. What are you doing? What time is it?
6.
Let's roll.
So, Jason and Ethan are coming, so we'll have to stick around a little bit.
Oh, come in here.
What do you guys want me? Corner?
Yeah, right there if you want, with the green microphone.
The green
Yes.
microphone.
And we'll get you started before the band gets started so they don't drown you
Yeah,
out.
drown me out. I was afraid of that. You're our
All right.
iconic guest.
So this is the original OG. Olga George, right?
What? The kids, that's what the kids call me. The
Yeah?
OG. You
Like
know?
me, the kids.
Yeah. The kids, yeah. The kids call me OG, original gangster. Or the original bad lady in the workshop.
Listen,
So.
before COVID, before life, kind of got ridiculous.
Yes.
We had the privilege of seeing you recording some OG segments at the Commoner.
Yes.
With, some of our friends who we share friendships with. Santonio Holmes, Frizzy.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy.
Which these are the jerk.
that. They're
I think this is the one that they call the jerk chicken wings. And from what I saw, they have medium,
Flatware.
hot. Now this is the thing. What I like about the idea, it's medium hot. There's no mild.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
So if you're gonna do Ireland, you're gonna do the medium or you're gonna do the hot.
Well, listen, this is why we'll skirt all the intro crap, right?
Okay.
This is why we have you.
Well,
You are our island girl. And we knew that you were the
Yes.
person to come try this.
well, before trying anything, I like to talk to the chef to see where their minds are.
Yep.
Okay.
And you get a feel to see if they're going to respect the food or are they going to make it too Americanized when it's not an American food.
Sure.
And I spoke with Justin and he seems to get the idea to respect the Caribbean style, but still kind of put his personality on it,
Sure.
but not taking it so much away.
Okay.
So start there. What is
Okay.
the Caribbean style? What is that to someone like us who do not understand? Because we've talked to you before.
Yes.
We know that in particular seafood. It that doesn't mean that it's coming from one particular place.
No.
So talk to us about what is
See,
that style that you're looking.
I think part of it is that when people think about style for Caribbean food, they're thinking Jamaican.
Yes.
Only Jamaican. And there's so many different islands, and that brings a twist. So what I noticed with them, we say pâtés, beef pâtés. There's some people say Jamaican pâtés. They're bringing empanadas. Now, guess what? There are Spanish islands
Yes.
as well, so the empanadas is still part of it. So when you talk about the Caribbean style, it's that richness, that heart, that flavorfulness that's unique to the islands. So it's spice that is flavorful, not spice that you can't eat it. Oh my
Okay,
God, that's not it. And I try to tell people, if you eat Italian food, you're not just eating one region of Italian food.
Yeah, that's
you
right.
have so many different regions, but it's still called Italian food. It's the same thing with the Caribbean islands.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, Ben specifically refers to the Cayman Islands,
Yes,
right?
yes.
That's more of a British influence.
That's
right?
a British.
Okay.
That's a British influence, and that's the. You're so smart, John.
listened to
Oh
you
my
before, that's
goodness,
why.
you're on the ball. I
Rewound
like
the
it.
OG
I
tips.
like it because the thing is, the influence of the islands that were owned or were the territories of, that influences the flavoring of the food, because like St. Croix had so many different countries that owned, from the Danish, the Dutch, the French, all the Portuguese. So all that flavor is in the food. So that's the influence right there.
Okay.
And that's make the difference.
So you walk into a place like this and you have OG cooking, and tell us about, you've been on the podcast before. Talk
Yes.
about your family influence and what you cook and how you cook it.
Well, you see, my family, and because we're islanders for the most part, it influenced how I make the dishes. I'm looking for a certain memory when I'm cooking. It needs to invoke something, some kind of emotion. To me, that's the best meal, because when you eat something like this, and I'll remember, oh my God, I was with John and Rachel, and that flavor, that's what I'm going to be looking for again. So when you're cooking, that's what you try to bring back. I'm trying to bring back my dad on Saturday mornings making pork bread, my mom cooking the oxtail for Sunday dinner before we go to church. That is what I look for when I do flavoring. And that's what I'm looking for when I come here.
And what I've loved, and going back to the intro that we said, before all of this, you were doing segments for OG Cooking that
Yes.
people can still see on your YouTube channel.
Yes.
But you were interviewing people to give you the opportunity to talk about the foods that you've made that spark those conversations that you've had around the table. So it's like you said, it's a memory. And the food certainly enhances that, but it's remembering the time when conversation was important, because food is conversation. Yeah.
And the thing is that I was trying to bring about with OG Cooking before the pandemic. It's like, whoop, we're gonna stop this. I'm the oxtail. Guys, I'm going to be eating all of it. Yes, I am. The thing I was trying to do with OG Cooking before the pandemic started was to bring about conversations. It's so much easier to talk around food.
Yes.
The hard conversations. And when you talk with food, there's so many similarities that people don't realize until you start looking at the food. I mean, oxtail is such an island thing, but it's other places as well. When I say bacalao, we call it saltfish, but the Italians call it bacalao. When I had a friend who's Italian, we were talking, we thought we were talking different things. We realized we were talking about the same fish. It was like a whole different conversation altogether. And then I started to learn about the 7 fishes.
Yeah, we do it every Christmas Eve.
There you go. And we have saltfish pâtés, saltfish stew, so yes.
It's like pierogies and ravioli and empanadas in
Yes!
some way, right?
Everyone has,
It all
or they call them pastelas, empanadas, pâtés. The only thing that's different is the naming of it. So if we can get past the naming of something, you'll find out how much alike we are. Food does that.
Yeah.
So we're not giving up on the fact that COVID is going to at some point not go away, but we're going to be able to figure it out a little
and
better.
take these masks
and
off.
take these masks
Yeah.
off.
Yes.
Enjoy our food a little bit more.
Yeah.
And while we're entering that phase, you're sort of, we use the word reinventing. Everyone's reinventing and pivoting and
Yes.
blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
What is OG Cooking doing now? Because outside of your day job with KDK, you are working with a Pittsburgh icon.
Christine Thompson.
Yes.
With One World.
Yes.
She used to have World Magazine. Now it's One World. And it's all about, being healthy, being connected with your body and your family. And that's what OG Cooking is all about.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's an online magazine.
It's an online magazine. And what I have a series regarding video and writing that I'm working on, and also I'm trying to branch out in video clips as well, because right now it's not possible to have a whole half-hour show.
Sure.
So if I can get someone to listen and conversate over food for 10, 15 minutes, hey, that's what I'm working on.
So
I gotcha.
Caribbean food we're talking about, and I want you talk about family. Take us through. We sleep over at your house when you're 15. We're friends. We sleep over at your house. When we wake up, we're eating what?
Oh my God! Now it depends. See, that's the other thing. If we're sleeping over and you're waking up, it depends if it's a weekend or the weekday.
Okay, weekend.
Now, weekend, you're going to have what we call a full Caribbean breakfast,
Okay.
right? It's like a twist with the whole English thing, but with us it'd be saltfish, fried dumpling or Johnny cake, a boiled egg, chop up. Chop up is the okra, spinach, and eggplant mixed together. And then you have to have your Ovaltine. I know you guys like your
Yes.
Hershey's. I'm sorry, I am my Ovaltine.
Okay.
You lived on
Ovaltine.
Yeah.
And fresh goat milk.
Okay. And then for lunch?
Oh my God, for lunch, roti. You have the oxtail. I'm seeing the oxtail here. We'll have oxtail, peas and rice, or fungi and fish. Oh my God. Now,
Listen to
fungi
all
is
this.
not fungi.
Nice.
Fungi is
Starving.
Fungi.
Okay.
And it's something like polenta because you're using the cornmeal with the okra and the butter. Oh my God, it's so delicious.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, I think
yeah.
I'm going home skinny because I'd eat about half of that.
So
I
having
could have
talked
McDonald's on the way
as
home.
you said, having talked to Justin
Yes.
about what his kitchen is like.
Yes.
What is a common Americanized Caribbean meal?
Oh, see, now he has this oxtail in front of me, and that's one of the things.
looks beautiful, too.
It looks beautiful. It looks flavorful, and the way he was telling me how he made it made me trust to taste it.
Okay.
Another
So it's
thing
the
is
preparation.
the preparation that makes
Okay.
the difference, and the jerk chicken. People think jerk chickens are just hot.
Right.
It's not just hot. It's a spice that needs to be flavorful to make it the island style of jerk. And the
Okay.
preparations is a big thing too. So Justin gets it. He gets
Yeah.
that. So
Okay.
I'm really willing
How about
to
that?
try out.
Justin gets kudos from somebody.
Well,
from the
we're
area.
wondering.
Until I eat it.
I love it.
Now,
Until I eat
with
it.
us coming up on the holidays,
Yes.
what is a holiday meal that we would celebrate with you?
Goat.
Goat.
We call goat water.
Okay.
So we have the goat water that's cooked with the goat, very flavorful, and it's just like a soup. And we use Johnny cake. So you dip it and you're eating it. Or you'll have the goat and it's more spicy with a thicker, like a stewed.
Okay.
And then you have the rice or even macaroni, potato salad. But the one thing I know a lot of people will like, but we eat a lot of is called pig feet and
Okay.
it's called souse. The dish is called
She
souse
talked about
itself.
this before.
Yeah.
But it's the pig feet. And you have the pickles and everything.
So they're pickled
Yes.
like we know in a jar kind of thing.
No, it's
No?
cooked. It's pressure cooked and it's cooked in a pot with a lot of different spices. And then some people put cucumber slices when it's just about done to make it kind of mellow. Yes.
And actually, she makes it sound good.
It does make it sound good, yeah.
It's delicious. And the thing that I always found is that a lot of the Caribbean cooking, you can find some of it, a version of it, in the South.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Not to bounce back, but we have to.
Okay.
Going back to Whirl,
Yes.
what you're doing for Christine, is it more of a specific cuisine, or are you talking about the importance and the art of conversation and eating?
I'm more doing the conversation and the art of eating
Okay.
with food. I think we have this love-hate relationship with food.
Oh, God, girl. I know. I know.
And I think part of that relationship is because we don't understand how to savor what we have. We're in such a rush community right now. We just want to gobble it down, run.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one of the things that with the fast foods and also the frozen foods. And I think that also takes away from us kind of connecting with one another, you know? And that's the sad thing.
Such a good point.
Yeah.
And I think that, even we can't blame COVID for that.
No.
Our family lives have us trained that we pack our days.
Yes.
And so when it should be the time for dinner, where we sit down and we talk to each other, you're right, we're inhaling.
We go.
getting it, so.
And I think that's, if we're looking for that silver lining regarding COVID, I think that's it.
I agree.
Because when COVID started, it was amazing. So many of my friends started baking and cooking and calling me and saying, how do you do this? Where did I get that? And it was like, whoa, we're finding ourselves again. We're connecting.
Gotcha.
And food is helping with that.
Yeah, and you're sharing that experience.
Right.
Yes.
I'm sorry. You're sharing that experience.
All right, so we have to let you go. We have to get the question of the day.
Okay.
Right? So
Yeah.
first of all, where does everybody find OG Cooking?
OG Cooking's on Facebook. What's that? YouTube.
Yeah,
and
check out the videos.
And World Magazine, oneworld.com.
I love it.
Yeah.
How about
Yeah,
you?
check out oneworld.com because, again, reinventing. And,
right.
I mean, if she's going to give us some pointers,
Yeah,
that's the way
right.
to be.
Right.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
If you could replace any meal with an appetizer, what would it be? What would that appetizer be?
Calamari.
Oh,
It's a good one, too. Everyone has
Yikes.
a good one.
I
just
couldn't
want to eat
do it.
apps and never eat
It's,
dinner again.
it's like seafood. Give me that seafood, baby. Oh, yeah.
Olga George, thank you very much for coming on the podcast. We have to thank everybody. Brad Factor for coming on about virtual reality, and Joe and Lindsay for the Spark Wine.
As well as the one and only, did we already say Olga George? I mean, we saved her for last.
Right.
And then the trio from Mastic Trails, you have to come try this place. We can't wait to dig into the chicken.
Yeah, exactly. So, and again, thanks to the Juan Vasquez Band for being our music today, and thanks to Roy Conda, because
Yins better watch out because Santa Claus is coming downtown thanks to Rorik Automotive. Santa is thankful to Honda and Mazda and Toyota as well. Plus Cadillac and Lexus will help. Ring in the holiday cheer, that is, at the YaJagoff Yuletide, happening next Saturday at Johnny Angel's Ginchy Stuff parking lot. Expect a mini marketplace and iconic selfie stations, Pittsburgh style. And kids, do not forget to bring your Santa letters because Santa is going to take them in his sleigh for the North Pole. As always, visit Rorik.com for all of your vehicle needs.
and that's how we do the podcast. So make sure you download it on Monday and Tuesday.